In this episode of Hot Hardware's 2.5 Geeks, it's launch day, baby. We got Hellhounds, we got GeForce RTX 4070s. I've got a hoarse voice, and we'll have all kinds of fun next. Welcome back, ladies and germs, brothers and sisters, to another fine episode of Hot Hardware's 2.5 Geeks live stream. I normally don't sound this Barry White, midnight, and you. I just have a bit of a cold, but the guys with me, they're feeling chipper today. I've got Marco here as always, and Chris.
We're all mixed around. Hold on. There we go. It's because you dropped and came back to fix your sound issue.
I know. I had sound issues. I have more than one sound issue. I have an audio vocal sound issue, and then I had some gremlins in the machine too. So Marco, quit breaking stuff.
I didn't break anything. I'm actually psyched that for two reasons. One, got a bunch of work off my plate. Two, I finally found invisible Bluetooth earbuds, so I don't have black things sticking out of my ears. How phenomenal is that?
Invisible? Like
they're tiny little guys that like fit all the way in, and they're flesh tone. I love it. Now, like, you don't see my earbuds anymore unless you're really looking for them.
Flesh tone.
There you go.
That's your style, buddy.
Yeah, baby.
I like my cans.
I like cans too.
Yeah. Isn't that a place in France? No.
That too.
Yeah. Well, you know, I have the usual standard wireless earbud in here, and in the back over there is a very special machine we'll get to later. That's another piece of equipment. Chris has got special machines. And I have to send out the push here so that the audience gets notified. So there we go. We have now pushed the stream to our subscribers on StreamYard and Pushnami and all that stuff.
Excellent.
So, what's new and exciting, gents? Are you? I know, Marco, you got a bunch of stuff off your plate, which we'll be digging into shortly. But what's going on in your world in general?
Not much. I just got in the NUC 13 Pro, so got those pictures done. We're going to jump on that testing because I want to bang that one out quick. Some other embargoed stuff, and I think that's about it that I can talk about.
Gotcha. Embargoed stuff. It's very descriptive. The NDA things that you can't talk about, or you'd have to kill us, right?
Exactly.
We don't. Yeah, exactly. You know nothing. We're Sergeant Schultz. That's what we are. Chris, what do you got going on?
Yeah, I just had a system dropped off today with 4 GPUs in it. So that's going to be a lot of fun to look at. I think I can say what it is. So it has been announced.
It's not under NDA.
Yeah, it's the HP, and it's just escaped. It's the Fury Z8 G5 or something like Fury Fury G5. I'd have to go and look at
that
it
one.
Now.
It's some big old boat of a workstation, right?
Yeah, so it's running the new Intel Xeon workstation chips, and I probably should have brought up a list of what it has in front of me, but so it's got a 56 core CPU in it from Intel and 4 Ampere RTX A6000 GPUs. So a lot of compute muscle in this. So it should be a lot of fun to look at. The Dell system I just looked at with the Threadripper Pro was already powerful, and just off the spec sheet alone, this one should dwarf it. Now, whether it lives up to that or not, I guess we'll have to see in the testing, but definitely stay tuned if you like big iron compute.
Big iron 56 cores and 4 GPUs, and
yes.
But you've got the Ampere variant of the A6000.
Right. So it's the same card that was in the Dell system, just 4 of them instead of 1.
and we can't get any Ada love in there, Lovelace.
Well, I tried. Nah, we'll see. We were initially told that it would be the Ada variant RTX 6000. Showed up with the Ampere, sent a little feedback back. Hopefully we can get that switched out or test both configs. I'd love to see how exactly the Ampere versus Ada fares with a 4-card setup. So if we can get all of that, we'll definitely get it done. But if it's just the Amperes, that's still a lot of muscle.
It is a lot of muscle, a boatload of muscle, don't you know? What's up, Tim? Tim Pa Diddy Sweezy is with us. Good to see you. Bryant Caudill, Steez. Where did Steez go? Did he leave?
Yeah, Steve said he couldn't watch today because he's got a little surgery tomorrow. So
good luck, brother Steez.
Mm-hmm.
You rock that surgery and come out victorious. That's what we must do. Cool. All right. Well, anyways, good stuff. Let's dig in because we've got a ton of meat. Like usually we have a little appetizer and then we have a little segunde, some pasta maybe, and then we get into the meat. But it's like all meat today, I think. So Marco's a meathead, and we got him too. So
that's true. My nickname in high school was Meat Box.
I'm gonna leave that one alone.
The friend. Meat Box, baby.
Not gonna ask the origins.
Yeah,
it was just a stupid nickname that came up. We had a volleyball team going, and I don't know. It just popped out of one of the guys' mouths and it stuck.
It's a wild and crazy volleyball team. Yeah, man. That's always fun though, right? Volleyball. I didn't play volleyball, but I imagine that's a whole lot of fun. Was it co-ed? Do you get to spike and set with the ladies too?
Nope, all boys high school, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, that explains it.
Although I loved that school. And when we had dances Friday nights, it was just the boys' school and like 5 of the girls' schools from around the county. So the ratio was awesome. Yeah, it was good times. Good times.
There you go. Hey, Chris, you imbibing any suds before we move into the meat? I've got some Stone Delicious IPA going on.
Not tonight. I was rushing to get here on time and didn't stop by the fridge to grab one. So,
we'll
fix that later.
My friend, I tip a cold one in your general direction.
Thank you.
You are most welcome. All right, let's. Okay, so are we hitting the meat first, guys, or am I going in any order I see fit?
I think we jump into the meat, and there was lots of adjacent news stories to both of these articles, and we'll see. I'm sure we'll get some questions and comments as the conversation's going, and we'll see where the other stuff fits.
I'm feeling a flow already. Just looking at it. It's
all right. So go with your gut.
Yeah, man. So let's drop this one in. This is a purdy card, man. A purdy card, and it's a wild looking card, and it's big card. It is the PowerColor Hellhound Radeon RX 7900 XTX Spectral White.
Oh there he goes. He's just whipping it out right in front of us.
Look at that.
I like whipping it out. It's actually it really is.
Whip this out.
Really is a good looking card. So PowerColor has had Hellhound cards in their lineup before. Of course, I'm going to start choking as soon as I start talking about it. Hey, Sophie, come show off this card with me. Come in here.
Come say hi.
Yeah, I think she's going to come in. So absolutely gorgeous card. Come here, beauty.
Come here.
I want you to look over there and say hi, everyone.
Hi.
No, wait, you got to get closer. Get closer to Dad. Over there. Say hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, I'll see you later.
Hi.
Didn't get to see her face, but
progress.
Yeah, no, she came in last time she wanted to come in. All right, getting back to the graphics card at hand. So PowerColor Hellhound Radeon RX 7900 XTX Spectral White Edition. So really, really cool card, right? As the name suggests, Radeon RX 7900 XT. Now, this guy is slightly overclocked. It's got a BIOS switch on it, so you can switch between like a default OC mode or what PowerColor calls a silent mode. Silent mode has the exact same clocks as AMD's reference design, up to 2.5 gigahertz game clock. The OC mode goes up to 25 megahertz. So tiny little bump technically in frequency with the OC mode, but the cooler's so big and the card runs relatively cool for a Radeon. Like the fans actually spin down completely at idle. And once temps get past 60, they finally turn on. Really no reason to run the silent mode. The standard mode is quiet enough. No complaints at all for me here. And in terms of performance, it typically traded blows with the AMD reference 7900 XTX, but it does so. It's a little bit larger, and obviously you have the really cool white finish. So if you're building a white system, it's really kind of one of the few options out there in Radeon land.
And those fans, are they clear or are they silver?
They're clear.
Okay.
And when it lights up, it's like a very, very cool white / light blue. And there's actually, and if you don't like the lights, there's actually a switch on the card to shut them off. So there's a bio switch and an LED switch to shut the lighting on and off.
I'm jealous. I really like the white stuff. That would go really well in my my main gear vibe rig that I have. It's all white. That would be a match made in heaven.
Oh, I don't think it'll fit though, right? You couldn't fit the big GPUs in there.
Yeah, the vibe has some limitations with the Apex liquid cooling going on, but we'll get to main gear later. We got some more of that goodness. Look at the benchmarks. Look at the benchmarks, people. Pretty solid. It's it's basically neck and neck with a with a reference card, right? 7900 XTX.
Yeah, it trades. For actually, Guardians is one of like the anomalies. No matter what I do with my AMD reference cards, the minimum frame rates they're not fantastic.
Really down. Wow.
Yeah, this card was much better, and it's the same driver, same system. I can literally just swap the card, and it does that. Can't figure out why.
I wonder why.
I'm going to be reformatting anyway and moving to the 7800 X3D for future graphics testing and updating all the games and everything anyway. But yeah, still, like, overall the performance, it's right there. You can't. It's technically slightly higher clock, so if you want to nitpick, it's maybe a touch faster than a reference card, but we're talking max of 25 megahertz at, it's really nothing. But that's cool though, because it's quieter than the reference card, and at stock clocks it ran cooler. Like the T junction stayed, in the low 80s. Overclocked, I got it to go over 93, but I didn't touch the fan curve. So, if I wanted to tweak the fan curve, I could have brought those temps right back down.
Look at that 1440p score in Far Cry 6 with ray tracing on. It's beating the 4090.
Yeah, but
there's some weirdness there though.
Because it's CPU limited, it's all over the map. Go to the 4K number, and that's the 4K, like the real spread.
Explain it.
So right behind.
Still not far off.
It's hanging.
It's right there.
Nice.
Remember, Far Cry is an AMD title though. So
yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah.
But it's still a ray tracing title.
Yeah, it's DirectX 12, no matter what. Yeah. That's good to see. That's strong. F1. How about some F1 action there? There you go, slotting in.
So F1 22 is way more taxing than F1 2021. So I don't have quite as many GPUs tested, but right in the middle of the pack, the NVIDIA cards with ray tracing, have the edge.
I'm running some F1 right now on my main gear rig that I'll be showing you guys later. It's doing the benchmark loop just to show off in a little bit.
I was just going to bring up how's the overclocking experience?
Yeah.
So the overclocking was actually really good. With AMD's cards, the best way to kind of get some additional clock out of them is you got to undervolt the GPU, find the sweet spot on the undervolt, find the sweet spot on the memory speed, up the power limit, and then find your sweet spot on the GPU clock, right?
Yeah.
So I think I set the GPU clock to just over 3 gigahertz. It never actually hit that speed, but it did routinely hit 2.75 to 2.8 gigahertz on the GPU clock. The memory clock, I got up to 2640 megahertz, real clock on the memory. And that showed some decent gains. I think if memory serves, let me double check my overclocking scores. Chris, could you scroll down just a little further on that page? Yeah, I have 2 tests where I reran some numbers. So that's a 3D Mark score, and you see it ends up going from just behind the reference card to just in front of it. And in the Far Cry test, this was a really nice jump. It actually ended up matching the 4090 at 4K. Wow, so decent gains overclocking with, just tweaking a couple sliders. And if I spent some more time, I was really grinding to get that article done, I think tweaking the fan curves, I could have got a little more out of it. So yeah, fun little card. Well, fun card.
Did it stay quiet at overclocked? And was it super stable, no glitchy weirdness, popping pixels or whatever?
Yeah, stable, no glitchy, stayed quiet because I didn't tweak the fan curves. But I did the junction temperature did reach into the low 90s, I think 93C.
Yeah.
which is toasty. So I probably should have tweaked the fan curves, got that back down into the 80s, but all good. You know, the cards are designed. I think that the max is like 95C or 99C. I don't remember. So
Okay.
yeah, all good.
Power consumption is hefty.
Yes.
No, that's a whole system, but still, relatively speaking.
Yeah, no, that's the one gotcha with the Radeon RX 7900 series. They're fast with traditional raster, super fast, big ray tracing gains versus the previous gen. Still a gen behind NVIDIA in terms of ray tracing, but a big gains versus the 6900 series. But the power is up there. You know, in this generation, the 7900 series it's towards the top.
I mean, looking against the 3090 Ti, the efficiency is there, but you know, NVIDIA did have quite a nice jump with Ada Lovelace, bringing the power consumption down relative in a lot of workloads.
Absolutely.
It's actually impressive how efficient or power efficient Ada is, NVIDIA's RTX 40 series, for the monster hunkin' GPU that it is. Yeah, no, but it's all good stuff. I mean, they're all within what it looks like something like 75 watts away from, or whatever, maybe from the 4080, 4090.
Yeah, when I redo the test rig, I'm gonna get the NVIDIA PCAT set up somehow permanently installed in the rig. I'm gonna get like a right angle mount. It's too precarious. I test inside a chassis. I'm not using an open air test bench, and you know, with the mid tower sideways using that NVIDIA PCAT, it was kind of precarious. So I think I'm gonna upgrade my chassis. I'm gonna get a vertical mount for the GPU, put the PCAT in the extension on the vertical mount, figure out how to wire it up nice and neat, and then we'll get just GPU power numbers, because then it'll be more, you'll see more separation.
Yeah, I think it'd still be interesting to see the PCAT alongside the total system power, and just see if it's shifting power budgets within the system in any way.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Get to, like, you know, because if you've got a GPU pushing more frames, then it could also be pushing up CPU power to keep up.
Yeah, and it's going to depend on which game you use. Like Far Cry, I'm probably not using the best game. Like I need to find something that's more, more multi-threaded, like a more modern title. So yeah, this I don't think the standings are going to change much, but the deltas are going to change quite a bit with future articles, I would think.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Good stuff. And actually, related to that, oh, there's Raymond Jeffries. What's up, buddy? See what Raymond has to say.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll get to that shortly, Raymond. We've got some interesting commentary on that, or at least some coverage, I should say. But let's throw this in here right now, because pricing seems to be floating around a little bit on the reference cards. Excuse me, my froggy voice. Custom Radeon RX 7900 XTX falls to $960 for the first time ever, and more great GPU deals. Now, there's a slew of GPU deals here, some of which are really nice. Like I'm looking at. Let's see, what's kind of like, what's the best one in this mix? Down the bottom, we've got some links, but there's like ARC A770 cards are $289 now. Radeon RX 6750 XTs are $400, but just under $1,000 for a reference Radeon RX 7900 XTX. Oh no, custom actually. My bad. That's ASRock's custom Phantom gaming Radeon. My bad.
Which is impressive, but people shouldn't sleep on the last gen Radeons either. I mean, to pick up a 6750 XT for $400 or a 6600 for $219, like if you're doing 1080 gaming, especially, those are great cards. I mean, you don't need to spend $1,000 or more on a GPU to get a great gaming experience. And I don't know, Marco, have you gone back to really revisit the Radeon cards? Because I've heard a lot of reports about just the driver experience improving significantly since launch.
So I'm super anal, right, about my test rigs, and the image is clean. I rarely have any driver issues, like rarely. The old arguments,
well, not the driver quality as much as the actual performance improvements that have been wrung out since launch.
So, since launch, there's 6900 series cards in that Hellhound piece, and those were all run on not the most recent driver, but a much newer driver. And actually, the 6900 series behaved better than the 7900 series, which you'd expect. The newer GPU probably working out some kinks. Like the performance issues I saw in Guardians aren't there on the 6900 series, right? So I have zero issues recommending GPUs from either company in terms of the software and the overall experience. I actually really like AMD's interface. Like, there's so much information in there. If you're, whether you're a novice or like a hardcore enthusiast, you have lots of dials that you can tune, and there's lots of information right there in the drivers without having to use a third-party app or mess with anything. So yeah, all good in terms of recommending previous gen cards if they're in your budget. That's actually going to be an interesting part of the conversation when we talk about the 4070, because you can get like a 6900 XT right in the same price range, right? Some cards, not all cards, but with rebates and discounts, they're right around the $620 range. So there's like some decisions to be made there.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed that was interesting to me, I think it makes sense, and I'm surprised I don't see a lot of that. This kind of interface with NVIDIA's drivers was, I did see some weirdness with a 7900 XTX driver on boot up, doing something funky and causing an error message in the Radeon driver suite. But what it did do was it collected a bug report, and it asked for specific information. It prompted me. I could add my email address if I wanted. And it seems to me like there should be more of that kind of stuff, that kind of collection, because you just expand your footprint of corner cases and configurations to whatever's out in the wild, and then hopefully can squash bugs quicker as a result.
Yeah, and I will say, I was using the Radeon powered Alienware system before I built my new system, and I had a couple crashes playing Destiny, and I got that pop up with the bug report. The next patch, it was fixed. Didn't have any issues since. So I don't know exactly that is what led to the resolution, but I had issues before the driver update. I had submitted the reports. The next driver update came out, and it didn't happen again. So I think it does help.
Could be related. Cool. Well, let's let's talk about this one, since good old Raymond dropped it in the chat. Let me see if I can pull up his comment again. Going after NVIDIA and advertising on how much 8 gig cards are hurting gamers and the price performance ratio. Whether or not they're hurting gamers is I guess a point you certainly could debate, but AMD going on the offensive about their larger frame buffers, frame buffer memory. AMD coyly disses NVIDIA for skimping on graphics card memory for gaming. And so you look at some of the performance numbers they put up, and then how much, excuse me, at different, especially at 4K gaming and at different settings, how much frame buffer is consumed. And you can see a lot of games are starting to push well north of 8 gigs into the 16 gig territory, north of 12 gigs even. And what are your thoughts on that, gentlemen? And is it a valid marketing position to take versus your competitor?
I mean, I think as long as they hold to it and don't then put out a card that has lower VRAM and kind of step in it, like they sometimes do. And all the companies seem to kind of do that. You had Samsung for years dunking on Apple for not having an SD card slot. Well, guess what? You can't get an SD card slot in a modern Samsung flagship either. So, this is all fair game as long as you actually stick to it. Keep giving gamers cards with more VRAM if this is the angle you're going to take here. And I think it is a perfectly valid argument to make. We're seeing 4K textures using up a ton of VRAM, which, we're seeing with the top bars here in Resident Evil 4 and Hogwarts Legacy. But the other consideration is, as we're seeing ray tracing start to proliferate, the bottom bars in these two is with ray tracing on, and it does use more VRAM. So if you want to have ray tracing enabled games, you need the video memory there to make it performant. And that is something with the earlier gen NVIDIA cards maybe have 6-8 gigs of VRAM. Yeah, it's an RTX card, but it might struggle to push, to do ray tracing in a lot of titles, not because the ray tracing performance isn't there, but because it doesn't have the video memory to support it. So I think AMD lands on guidelines of 16 gigs of video memory for 4K gaming, 12 gigabytes for 1440p gaming. And yeah, if you're at 1080p, you can probably still get by with 8 gigabytes, but even that one, I think, can be tough depending on the title. It also depends on the games you're playing. If you're playing a bunch of esports and you care about the high frame rates, but not necessarily the higher resolution, then okay, maybe VRAM doesn't mean as much to you. But if you want to play the latest cutting edge, visual experience games, then it's certainly a consideration that can impact you beyond just the core compute performance of the card.
Yeah, totally agree, Marco. What are your thoughts there? I mean, my thought initially is that these days, although I know it's and I know why NVIDIA configures their cards with lower VRAM configurations. It's a cost thing, and they develop a lot of technologies, whether it's compression, what have you, where they try and minimize memory footprint on the card. And they also, do some tricks with memory bandwidth, with GDDR6X. But my thought is 16 gigs should kind of be default these days if you're, a serious hardcore gamer that just wants to not think about games running smoothly. What do you think, Marco?
Yeah, I don't know. More is always better, right? We're enthusiasts. You want more. You don't want to have to think about the settings. But if we're talking 16 gigs being the norm, you're talking Radeon 6800 or higher on the AMD side, like period, right? And that's just out of the price range for most people.
For
right?
4K. Yeah.
For 4K, right. And I want to say the enthusiast in me is like, yeah, more is better, right? You definitely want more. I always want to run everything with max image quality settings. But when the heck do we get so spoiled? Like if you have to turn down a detail a little bit to work on your card, is it the end of the world? Not really, right?
Yeah.
And how many people have 4K displays versus 1440p or 1080p? So
this is true.
Right. Yeah. So like I get the argument. 8 gigs is rapidly becoming inadequate for all of the latest games. If you want to crank up the image quality settings. So if you bought, a 3060, 3070 series card, maybe your SOL in moving forward. But it is what it is. This is always the case in our industry, right? There's always something bigger and better coming. The game devs are not going to stop pushing the envelope, but you have an option, right? Just turn the image quality detail down a little bit.
I think it's just especially, I guess, consuming or maybe even deceptive for consumers on the NVIDIA side of the house, where you have, different tiers of products going up the stack, but the VRAM bounces around. You've got, the 3060 with 12 gig, and then you have the 3060 Ti that's an 8 gig card, and I think the 3070, I'm trying to remember, was that also an 8 gig card?
I think 3070, I got to double check. I think 3070 was 8 and Ti was 12. I have to go look. I don't remember.
It's just kind of an odd
3070 Ti 8 gig, 3070 was 8 gig. There was a 12 gig 3060.
Yeah.
That came out after the fact. Yeah.
All right. And then the other thing you have to consider is the memory bus size and frequency. Just because you have the VRAM there doesn't mean you can get the data on and off the card efficiently. And it does come back to there's ramifications in the design of the GPU itself to actually have that memory bus supported. It's not an easy fix by any means. You've got to really design it at the ground level and at such an early point in the process that maybe what you thought you were going to get for performance with this generation didn't end up. And then that's where you're seeing the last minute cuts to memory here or there. I don't know. I'm not a GPU engineer by any measure, but it would be nice if we could see more things like the XT with 20 gigs and XTX with 24 and nice healthy VRAM buffers.
Yep. Yeah, no, and it's all cost. I mean, that's as Marco alluded to. So our recommendation is our standard recommendation applies. Buy as much as you can afford, you know, and and push it, just push it as much as you can, because there's never going to be a good point in time where it's okay, enter the market now. The value is great. There's always something better coming, and buy as much as you can afford. And if you can't afford it, don't buy it. Buy something else.
Yeah, and actually, perfect follow-up. Is VRAM demand as high with DLSS or FSR? No, that's the other thing, right? Any of the frame scaling, it drops the native resolution, and then hence drops the memory requirement as well, right?
Exactly.
So, like there's lots of options, right? And I get there's like a big backlash, like a coordinated effort through social media to kind of rip on NVIDIA and say, 8 gigs is not enough. But it's only not enough if you have a high resolution display and you want to run every game at native res with the details maxed out, right? I'm sure there's tons of gamers out there that would kill for an 8 gig 3070 Ti, right? So let's be realistic. Let's not get greedy, everybody.
Well, I mean, hey, it's a fair shot, I guess, if they want to take it. I mean, more is better, but.
Oh, I think we just lost Dave.
But yeah, so you can push me in either direction. Like I can easily be convinced,
right?
That we have to push things.
I want a well-balanced card more than anything else. If you're going to say, okay, this is a 1080p class card, it has 1080p class compute, then throwing 8 gigs of VRAM on it doesn't bother me a bit. But when you're pushing into the 7070 Ti series and still looking at 8 or maybe even the 12 gigs of RAM. Now Dave's doubled up.
Hey, we got Dave's twin.
Let's remove here, swap there, swap there. We'll all dance around.
I don't know what just happened, but my internet just dropped and came back up in like a nanosecond. So Marco, quit messing with my stuff, right?
I didn't do anything. I'm sitting here.
What's it say in your shirt, by the way? There's some
there's some demonetization stuff going on.
Let me see it. It's okay. Just cover it. Let's go.
It says let's grill some shit.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even realize I was wearing this. Sorry, guys.
I like that shirt. That's a good shirt, man. I would like to grill some stuff. Hey, now.
I got to sit lower.
Yeah, at least we didn't show you in the first 8 seconds.
Nah, it's fine. It's fine. We're PG-13 here. And, oh my God! Look at the little kid. Hey, what's up?
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Oh my God. All right. So we have kicked this one to death, I think. You look silly.
I can't get up. Oh, we're stuck. Excuse me a moment. Hey.
I did that too. I was adjusting my chair and that's when my internet got out. What are you doing? Get back.
I'm fixing things. There we go.
Get back to where you once belonged. All right. Well, anyways, let's move on to the main event, or one of the main events. The other meat. The other meat. Oh my God.
It's too late, Marco. We're already in whatever retribution that YouTube has.
I didn't realize I had it on, so we have to make amends somehow.
It's okay. Mm-hmm. It's okay. I mean, we're PG-13. We're gonna be all right. I swear. Let's drop this in the chat. Marco did a little something on an RTX 4070 today. GeForce RTX 4070 review. NVIDIA Ada hits a more mainstream $599. That's more mainstream. It is more in the mainstream. I don't know whether or not you would declare a $599 price point for the masses, but it's more palatable than an RTX 4090 and a 4080. That's for sure. It's also more palatable from a size standpoint. So this is a much more compact GPU. I have a rig here that I could not fit a 4080 or a 4090 in, so I welcome the petiteness, if that's a word.
So just to give you a visual, right? These 12 and a half inch plus, like that's the Hellhound, right?
Yeah,
and then that's the 4070. So like it's back to the much smaller 2-slot form factor. At least the Founders Edition card is. So that's the Founders Edition 4070 with the pass-through cooler.
Slot height is
good angle.
The slot height
Yeah.
is normal too.
It's
which is
literally
good.
it's barely higher than the bracket, 2 slots wide. AMD's design, I'm sorry, NVIDIA's design does have the 12-volt high power connector, but you will also find partner boards like the MSI card. Now the MSI card still 2 slots, much
But it's
taller,
longer.
right? But it didn't have to be, right? This isn't going to come across well at this camera angle. The PCB stops here.
Yeah.
All of this is
Can see it.
heatsink. There's nothing underneath. It's passed through, right? So 4070 though, interesting card, right? If you the model number tells you where it fits in NVIDIA's lineup. You have 4070 Ti, 4070 just below it, right? NVIDIA has positioned this card to outperform 3070 and 3070 Ti. In my testing, that's exactly what I saw. It beat the 3070 Ti across the board. I didn't bother to retest the 3070 because it's just going to be even slower. So it beats 3070 Ti across the board, competes with 3080 on some tests, right? Depending on which game you're running. But it does so at like a fraction of the power, right? So 12 gig card. It's an AD104 GPU with 5,888 CUDA cores. Let me just double check the RT and tensor core count. So
that's the same count as the 3070 for CUDA cores, right?
It's lower than the Ti. I don't remember the 3070, but it's the newer generation.
They're faster,
cores
for sure.
Yeah, so they're higher clock. They can do more math. And this guy's got, where the heck are the tensor count? So 184 tensor cores, 46 third generation RT cores. Memory bandwidth, the actual number is around 504 gigabytes per second. But remember, these Ada cards have way more L2 versus the previous gen. So that mitigates some of the need to swap in and out of VRAM. So, yeah. And so in terms of overall performance, though, you're looking at good raster performance, beats the 3060 Ti in straight raster. Add ray tracing to the mix, and the newer RT cores help quite a bit. So it'll move up a couple rungs when you're testing with ray tracing. Ideally suited for 1440p gaming or below. This card does have 12 gigs, right? And today we could review cards that are launching at the MSRP. So both the MSI card we looked at and the Founders Edition are going to arrive on store shelves tomorrow at $599. You will see cards as expensive as $679 that have factory overclocks and more custom designs with lighting, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, mainstream, it's kind of funny. Mainstream performance for this generation, we're talking 3080 performance. Remember when 3080 launched, it just crushed everything in the RTX 20 series. So that level of performance at $600, I agree with Dave. I wouldn't call this mainstream. We used to call $300 cards mainstream. Yeah. But to get a relatively affordable modern Ada-based GPU, right? You get that AV1 encoding, you get DLSS 3 support with frame generation, all of the newest stuff at $600 at greater than 3070 Ti performance. So and it does so at the lowest power of any card in this generation that we tested, like skunked every card by a large margin in terms of power consumption. Even while overclocked, the thing only hit like 70C without tweaking the fan curve. So cool, quiet, decent performance, and the lowest price point for an Ada-based GPU yet.
So for a balanced, more value-oriented system, what CPU would you pair this with? Like a 13600K or?
Yeah, 13600K or a 5800 X3D. Like a 5800 X3D with one of these is like super low power, so easy to manage thermally, and you're going to get really solid, smooth game performance, right? Is it class leading game performance? No, but really awesome game performance at 1440p or below.
I mean, you could build a whole kick-ass system for less than just a 4090. So,
right.
I was hoping it would beat a 3080 more regularly, frankly.
Yeah, but 3080's got that much wider memory bus. It's a much bigger GPU. Like it's right there. Fundamentally, if you were doing a blind taste test, I don't think you're noticing a difference with the 3080. Right. But it's doing it at a fraction of the power and at a lower introductory cost.
Yeah.
Did we see any 2-slot 3080s? I think they were all.
I think they're all 2 slot. All the 3080s are 2 slot.
You mean three? You mean triple slot?
No, 2 slot. 3080s were 2 slot. I think I have.
No,
it right
I understand.
Here,
I'm
I
asking.
thought they
if
were
Chris
kicking
is
up into the triple slot. No,
That's what I meant.
So here's my 3080. They're only 2 slot.
Okay.
Yeah, I was asking whether Chris meant triple slot. Yeah. Yeah, they're all 2 slots. I got a 3080 Ti looking at me right over here.
Yeah.
Winking at me through the window. There you go. Well, 4K, but it's like barely, I guess its mins are faster than a 3070 Ti. I guess it's within striking distance of a 3080.
Yeah, like there's a very clear kind of delineation, right? Each card, as you go up the stack, you got a little bit more performance, a little bit more performance, a little bit more performance. Now, if you look at the very top versus towards the bottom, it's a much more stark difference. But at 4K max settings with ray tracing, I think this isn't with ray tracing, but you're still over 60 frames per second. This card isn't really designed for 4K, but in a game like Far Cry, it's doing it, right? The minimum is over 60 frames per second. Now, go to Guardians for a sec, Chris. I think it's a little higher up on the page. I'm not sure.
Well, in frame gen too. I want to look at that.
Well, frame gen, it failed on me in its some tests. So go to the ray tracing one a little lower, Chris, and then you're going to see where the 8 gig frame buffer fails on the one more graph. Now look at the 3070 Ti. Actually, wait, 3070. Yeah, they're 8 gig. See what happens to the minimums, right?
Yeah,
completely craters because we're exceeding that 8 gig frame buffer, whereas 4070 maintains smooth playable frame rates. This, you can also see the bug I had with the 7900 series because the top of the chart is the 6900, where the 7900 didn't perform well. So it just wasn't working right with Guardians. I'm due for a complete reformat and update, so we'll see what happens the next time around.
I've seen some weirdness with that game myself, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a different engine. Yeah.
Yep. But now,
cool.
if you scroll to the bottom, right, go to F1 2022 before the frame gen tests. I'm actually working with NVIDIA right now. I was just right before we came on, I was rerunning F1 22 using a suggestion from NVIDIA, and I couldn't get the frame gen performance up. But so 1440p gaming in a brand new title that looks great, 90 frames per second average, right? This is with ray tracing and with the ultra quality preset. So as good as this game can look, great frame rate at 1440. So if we go to 4K, you're going to see it drop down. It's still playable, right? It's not buttery smooth at a 45 frames per second average with like a 39 min, but this game supports DLSS 3. So scroll down a little more.
There you
and
go.
like this is what you get. Now, frame generation with the middle settings wasn't working for me for some reason, right? It worked at ultra performance. You see that huge gain versus the regular ultra performance goes from 117 to 145. But the middle scores there were exactly the same as DLSS 3 without frame gen. Now, however, even using DLSS quality at 4K, you're up to 68 frames per second minimum with 77 frames per second average. Perfectly playable. You cannot tell the visual difference in a game like F1 2022 without scrutinizing, pausing, and taking screenshots and comparing them. If you're just playing in the real world, you're not going to see a difference. And boom, look at that extra performance right there, right? Looks great. You get that much smoother frame rate. And if you're willing to sacrifice some visual fidelity, you can get up over 100 frames per second, right, at 4K. So, so much flexibility and like stuff you could tinker with these cards.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no question DLSS 3 is no joke. It is very polished. At this point, NVIDIA has really polished DLSS up nicely. And it looks great, and performance is, I mean, you can see those gold extensions. That's good stuff. Can't argue with that.
I mean, there's a significant performance to be had with minimal visual fidelity trade-off. If you're using balance or quality, you can definitely see it in the performance or ultra performance modes. But come on, right? There's almost no point not to use DLSS in most games in the quality mode if you just want an extra boost.
Yeah, and don't they have something like over 200 titles or something now that are supported by DLSS?
I don't remember the number.
Yeah, we have to look that up. But while you're looking that up, I'm gonna take you over to a little place. Chris, add me to the stream when I get over there.
Oh, you want to mute the phone?
Oh, I'm in now?
Oh, never mind.
That's
You're
okay.
good.
I won't mute the phone. So here we go. This right here is the main gear, or I should say the hot hardware main gear one. And we built this just last week. And as you can see here, we have a Radeon 7900 XTX. That is an XFX card. It is monster long. It's crazy long. Stupid long, almost. And under the hood of that main gear cooler right there is a Ryzen 9 7950, excuse me, 7950 X3D. And right there is 64 gigs of G-Skill, DDR5 6000 CL30 memory.
Same kit
with
I've got.
AMD Expo support. And we are running, wouldn't you know, a little F1 2022. Oh my goodness. I'm getting the wicked echo in my earbud. And let's see, right now we're pushing 77 frames per second. This is 4K max quality, ultra or extreme, whatever it is, with DLSS. Oh, excuse me, no, ray tracing, not DLSS, obviously. Again, listening to myself in my ear.
That game does support FSR too, though. Like it supports like every mode from like every company. And I just checked.
Yeah,
193 games available right now with DLSS.
Wow.
There you go. Yeah, I thought it was about 200. And 280 millimeter radiator. I can't talk because I'm getting super echo. Sorry about that.
Tried muting your mic from my side, but I guess it just
Not bad though. We'll take it. And we're gonna load up a video on YouTube where we actually built this baby in New Jersey at Main Gear's headquarters. So stay tuned for that. Custom HH logo. Beauty. There you go.
yeah, the front panel is nice. It looks like it has a little texture to it.
All right, take this off. There we go.
Okay.
Oh, back.
There you go.
Hey,
Got
back to the benchmarks. Say again?
Got your sanity back?
Got my sanity back. I can hear normally now. Yeah, the front panel's cool. It's actually it's magnetic and it has pogo pins that actually connect to the chassis RGB lighting, so it lights up the Main Gear logo. But it's magnetic. It just snaps right on the front, and they print, custom paint, logos and artwork like they did for us to pretty that system up. It's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
The MG1, the Main Gear MG1. Yeah, we built that thing with Ron Reed and Brent from Main Gear, and Wallace took us on a factory tour, and so stay tuned for that. It was a lot of fun. Good to see those guys. They're a great group down there in New Jersey, boutique builders that take it seriously. Their new factory is pretty cool, right, Marco? The new
the new digs are super nice. Like we did a build and a tour of Main Gear. I forget how many years ago, and they were packed in tight to get everything dialed in before. Now they have tons of space for the employees just to chill. They even have a barber that comes in, I think, every couple of weeks. Really cool.
They have a barber and the ping pong table. Yeah,
exactly. Man.
Nice.
So like really nice setup. We got an extensive tour. I don't know how much is going to fit in the vid, but you'll see like the amount of growth that Main Gear's had is just astonishing over the last few years, and it shows in the new facility.
Yeah. What's great about that company too, and you can feel it as soon as you walk in the door. The vibe is like everybody loves working there. You can just tell. Everybody's
very chill.
Very chill. Very, everybody seems to be happy, relaxed. There's a bullpen for the support and sales guys, and the marketing folks, and then you go back and you see all the build stations, and people are they're doing what they love. And it's cool stuff. It's really cool. And Wallace is a super nice guy, the CEO of Main Gear, super nice guy. They're good people. That's the thing. When you've been in business long enough, you do business with people you like, and they're our buddies. We do business with our buddies, and they're good folks. So yeah, check them out soon. We actually have a review of the Main Gear 1, which is
from Zach.
Yeah, from Zach. I'll drop it in the chat right now. And I would say it is more of a cost-conscious build because it doesn't have any of the crazy, Main Gear Apex liquid cooling. It's got a standard AIO in there. Again, I got a 280 millimeter. That's actually a good picture right there, Chris. I'll drop this if you can hit this one. It's a nice close up.
I think the
so yeah,
private chat. If you hit it there.
Oh yeah, well I hit it in the public chat. My bad.
I can't pull links from there.
Oh, you can't? Oh,
nope. If I click it, it's just going to show it on the screen.
Yeah, well, there you go. There's one in the private. So yeah, this is a little bit of a different config that Zach got than I have. He's got a 360 millimeter AIO in the front and a couple of 120 fans up top. I've got a 280 with a couple of 140 fans up top. And so it's a 280 millimeter radiator. And then I've got 3 120 fans up front. That gives me a little bit more room, as you could see, for the super long Radeon 7900 XTX. And that's a GeForce RTX 4080 in there, I believe, is what he has in that config. And you can see all the RGB blinging away. But that's, it's a little bit more standard sort of PC case, certainly more standard cooling, but they never skimp on build quality, design, and what I would call just, general white glove treatment for delivering a well-specified system.
Yeah,
it looks pricey. That's a good question. We'll have to go ahead.
So I remember back when we did Zach's review, we priced it out and compared to like what we could put on PC Picker, put together bare bottom, same components, whatever. And the Main Gear system was a few $100 more, but we weren't accounting for things like all the RGB lighting in there and the labor, because you got to pay yourself to build it effectively. And the support you get from Main Gear on the system, with their warranty and service and all that. And so, yeah, with any pre-built system, especially a higher end pre-built system, you're going to be paying some premium over DIY. But it's not nearly as much as you'd get with like a Falcon Northwest high-end system, or I think Origin can also great systems, don't get me wrong, but these are more attainable than some of the crazier boutique systems out there for sure.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like even if you looked at something like a Main Gear Shift or one of their other higher end systems with the open loop liquid cooling, with water blocks and distribution
Mm-hmm.
blocks, they look beautiful. They're a different ball of wax. So yeah, as you noted, Main Gear asks actually $34.99 for the config that Zach tested, which has a 4080 in it, and we parted it out at $3,127. So you're talking about what, 300 and change to have a system built immaculately for you, to get your Windows license with it, obviously, to be pre-tested, shaken down, and burned in with a good warranty, with unlimited support. I believe it's lifetime phone support, and then they have, I forget what their warranty is on parts and whatnot, but a really good warranty as well.
Bottom line, can you do it cheaper? Yes. Does it make much sense to?
Yeah,
it's up to you.
In this case, I think the MG1, is so close to pre-built pricing. With I just pulled up the warranty, 1 year parts, lifetime free labor for repairs, and an option for 2 or 3 year parts if you want. So lifetime free labor for repairs. If a part goes bad, you're going to pay for it after a year, or you can get an extension for 2 or 3 years, but they'll repair the thing,
Right.
for free.
I mean, I'm still going to
Lifetime.
build a system because that's what I like to do, and that's what I just did.
Yeah,
But I
me too.
certainly understand a lot of people just want a game, and for those people who still want a nice looking system, but they just want a game, great option.
Yeah, yeah, and it's what we did. We went down to Main Gear, New Jersey, and we wanted to build our own system, but we had them join us and help us. It was fun, lots of fun, right, Marco?
Yeah, man, good stuff. I like hanging out with those guys.
Yeah, they're a good crew, Northeast crew that we are. Only about I think they're about an hour and a half from you, and more like 3.5 hours from me. But it's worth the trip for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna go have pizza with Wallace soon.
Oh, dude, and you're gonna have New Jersey pizza with Wallace, and that's good stuff.
One of the highest rated on Barstool Sports. Dave gave it a 9.4. I'm forgetting the name of the place, but if it's got a 9.4, I'm going to have that pizza.
Sally's or Pepe's or something like that.
That's up near me. That's New Haven. Sally's, Pepe,
right.
and Modern is New Haven. I'm forgetting the name of the spot in Jersey, but he gave Sally's a 9.2, and the spot in Jersey got a 9.4. So,
oof. There you go. Well, I think that about wraps us up, gentlemen. I think we've covered all the high notes. He's looking for a little help there.
I want to see if this little one will do the sign off for us. Come here, beauty. Get over here. Now you got to get lower. I want everyone to see you on the camera. Can you get lower? A little lower. Say like and subscribe.
I like it and subscribe.
Thanks, beauty.
Sophie's right. You got. Yeah, that's right. You got to pay attention to Sophie. Like and subscribe. You can find us on the web at hothardware.com, twitter.com/hothardware, youtube.com hothardware, and hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell when you see us queued up for our live stream. We do try and get here Wednesdays at 5:30. By the way, speaking of gaming rigs, before we go, we're going to be firing up another giveaway with a certain boutique company who also is also run by some great folks, the folks at Falcon Northwest and Kelt, who will be working with us to offer up a killer gaming rig of his own for giveaway. Right, Marco? Do you have any? Do we remember what the specs are on that?
If you come by hothardware.com and look for the most recent Fragbox review, you'll see what is on tap.
That's right. Let me see if I can find that right now, and then we'll. Well, no, I have the Tiki. What happened to the Fragbox?
It's in there.
Is it a small form factor?
Yeah, small form factor.
Small form. That's why you gotta look in the small form factor section. There it is. Yeah, this thing is the size of a toaster. Stay tuned for that. We're going to be probably giving away that identical one or something very, very similar. It may be the exact one, but stay tuned for that. Falcon Northwest giveaway coming up. Main Gear build coming up on YouTube and Hot Hardware, where you can see how we built the MG1 behind me. And in the meantime, hit thumbs up, subscribe, and stick with us. And we'll catch you in the next one. And thanks so much for stopping by.